This is the Seller Process Podcast, where we talk about the best systems, processes, and SOPs for your Amazon business so that you can regain control of your time, build up your team, and scale your e-com empire.
Hello, entrepreneurs. If you want to learn the tactics of the top brands to secure your spot in the best online media publications for free and leverage that recognition to boost your sales on Amazon, then this episode is for you. Our guest today will share with us a step-by-step process to find, contact, and close writers of the best media publishers and secure an article about your brand for free. I'm joined today by Philip Lee, an Amazon seller since 2016 who successfully exited his business in 2019 and is now running the fastest growing Amazon agency in North America. His agency manages some of the most emerging brands and has generated over $30 million of new Amazon sales for his clients in the last year alone. Hey, Philip, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Marco, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Man, I was very interested in what you shared with me in our pre-interview call, because you've mastered, some of new tactics, new ways, to grow Amazon brands. So it was very interesting to have this chat with you. We're going to talk about PR, right? So public relations, how to leverage public relation for Amazon sellers, which is a topic that not many people are much familiar with, but it's actually very popular with big brands. All the big brands use PR and media to leverage and to leverage, their brands and grow their brands. So let's start with giving some context. Why should seller even care about running a PR campaign, and what can they expect if they actually decide to go to that route?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really important for brands to consider PRs and start running PR, because not only are you letting your potential customers know that, hey, I'm actually a much bigger brand. Other outlets, publications are actually writing about me all the time. We do have this phenomenon now on Amazon where there are faceless brands, right? Companies that just kind of spin up on Amazon, but with no really rich history supporting it. So when customers go shop for these products on Amazon, they want to know, is this a brand that just appeared out of thin air, or is there some history with it? So having publication really solidifies and really gains the trust of Amazon customers really right from the get-go. And the second reason, why you should really run PR campaigns is because if you are looking to sell, if you are looking to get acquired down the road, this actually builds a lot of brand equity and brand goodwill. So companies like to see that you've been featured in PR because it is an intangible asset. So it can't be measured, but it always is a net positive towards your brand. So that will actually cause them to make you pay you out even more down the road. So what can you expect, when you run a campaign with PR is that there's a couple of routes, right? You can go the inactive route, which is very uncommon, where PR publications will actually write about you. They want to come to you, but that's easier said than done. For example, if Kylie and Travis Scott, two huge celebrities formed a brand, then yes, all the publications would go in because they know the publication and the article is going to do well, right? So that's the inactive route. There's also the active route, whereas you, as the brand owner, go out and pitch other publications, and try to basically inquire and sell them on why your product deserves their attention and to their audience and reach.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So you created a process actually to reach out actively. So this is what we should focus on, because most of us are not famous people. So this publication will not reach out to us, but we need to pitch to them, right? So give us a high level picture of what this process looks like, and then we will go into more details.
Yeah, absolutely. So the process of how to reach out is, first you have to find out, where do all your competitors lie, right? Your biggest competitors. I'm not talking on Amazon. I'm talking about, worldwide or biggest in North America. They've probably been featured somewhere before. Where are the publications that are writing them? That's the first part. The second part is, once you find where they have been featured, what sort of content were talked about in the publication, and finally, who were the writers that are writing it. And then the last step is contacting the writers and really coming in with your pitch, because you know that they were interested enough to write about your competitors. There's a really good chance that they might write about you as well.
Okay, cool. Right, interesting. So let's start with step one, right? So we need to basically identify who are these publications, right? Through like some competitor research, right? So how do we go about that?
Yeah, so it's actually a lot simpler than you'd think it would be. One of the person who taught me this tactic, Adrian Salimonovich, really well known in the PR industry, he says, keep it simple. What I do is I just go to Google News, right, on the Google tab, type in your biggest competitors, or just type in the biggest keywords that are associated with your industry. And what happens is that Google News will filter all the publications in chronological order. So most recent. You can even filter it further if you want to. So that's a really fast way, because Google indexes from all articles from all parts of the site and really combines it right into that sector. So you don't have to go into different avenues of blogs to find who's writing what. Google really just kind of does all the heavy lifting for you.
Wow. Okay, that's very cool. I wasn't aware of that. So that basically Google aggregates all this news from different publication. Okay, very interesting. So we research with our biggest keyword or our main competitor. What's next? Like you mentioned about understanding what type of content should we or are they writing about, right? So what's the next step?
Exactly. So once you go on Google News, right, type in some of your biggest competitors, some of your biggest keywords, right? You're going to have to go through some of the articles that are appearing in the different outlets, right? There, you just have to find out, like, what are the writers writing about, right? Are they talking about the brand? Is it some sort of technology? Is it a new product launch that they're talking about? This is just really to gauge and get a little more information as to what might make the writer tick when you are approaching them again. Because if you are approaching them in a similar fashion, they may be more receptive to hearing what you have to say about your brand, because they've already written about it, right? They're already familiar with the process. If you're giving them something completely different and new, then it might not really be in their field of writing. So they might be a little more resistant to that. So that's what I would do next, is really just find out what are your competitors being talked about by the publications, right? Is it a new brand launch? Is it a new acquisition? Is it a celebrity coming on the brand? What are they talking about? And try to work from there how you can position your brand with similar topics as well.
Awesome. Okay. That's very smart, I think. Yeah. So are we going to actually target exactly the same writer, or just the publication in general, and then we don't care of who's the writer is going to be?
Yeah, great question. So your goal is really to try to target the same writer, because in a publication, there are writers that specialize in different fields, right? So you could go scattershot and try to reach out to all the writers, but if most of them don't even talk about or write about your industry, then you're kind of wasting really time and effort there. So the best bet is to try to contact that exact writer on the article. They usually have it there. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that a few years back, they used to have their emails that you could reach out to them. As you probably imagine, brands just started spamming their email inbox with really poor pitches, right? So many of the writers have it removed. You might see some of them still have, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram handles as well, if you wanted to connect with them that way.
Right. Yeah, of course. I mean, now I think it's becoming more difficult to reach out to these people. Nevertheless, we have your process, so we can bypass some of those problems. So, but before we go ahead, since we're talking about content, I'm curious to understand more about this. Like, what kind of content can we expect to create with these people? Are we going to be the one who decide what type of articles are we going to the writer's going to write about, or do we have a say on that, or they actually decide everything for us?
Yeah, so ultimately the writer decides what they want to write about, but what you can do as the brand owner is your job is to make it as easy for them as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Just literally tell them, For example, if you see a gift guide coming in Black Friday that you want to be on for, let's say you sell a camping cup, right? And you have a camping cup, you want to be featured on the gift guide. One thing you can easily do is reach out to the writer saying, hey, I think it'd be great if we can update the, best camping cups for 2022 for Black Friday. I've actually compiled a list. I'm obviously going to insert mine in there as well, but I'm going to literally give you basically all the stuff there is to know. And then it's up for you what you want to write and what you want to not include, right? So if you can do the heavy lifting for them, make it as easy as possible for them to say yes, like I will write something about you, then that's the way to do it, right? Because you're just trying to create as little as resistance as possible for them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I understand. So maybe some like bullet points or like some ideas of type of what can they write about, like some inputs at least, to help them, connect the dots, I guess would be useful for them to write an article. I'm curious that I know you wrote about the different types of articles that can be written, right? So can you tell us more about that? What kind of article can we create with these writers?
Yeah, so there's a couple of main ones, right? So, that you'll see all the time when e-commerce brands are getting featured. So the first one is a brand showcase. So this is kind of where the writer would actually introduce the brand. It's more kind of mainly a brand launch, or maybe if you have a new product line launch, right? That does fit into a brand showcase type of article content. And more often than not, they'll usually want to know more about why was the brand formed? What's the story behind it? What's the relationship with the founder to the brand? They really want to dive deep and understand that, because there are a lot of viewers that do like to look out for new brands. And the best way to really connect it is to have the owner essentially have a story crafted about the brand, the mission, the philosophy, everything tied towards that. The article is just really to protrude that out into their audience. And then we have two more. So the other one is a product showcase. So this is if you want to just show off, your best-selling product, or maybe you have a new product that's coming out, right? Usually what will happen is that the writer would write in depth about your product, features, what's unique about it. Is there technology? What is it trying to address, right? I've also seen different types of article styles. So for example, BuzzFeed actually does this a lot, is where they'll actually take the product and they'll actually use it and give a full length review, and they'll kind of score it, like quality, 4.5 out of 5, ease of use, 5 out of 5. They'll even have that little bit of a metric at the bottom too. So a really in-depth personal review. And I think that works really well. As a result, not all the writers would do it, unfortunately, but I know BuzzFeed does it. And that's another way you can do it too. It's where the writers just completely review the product. And the last one, which is, I would say, the most effective one, and also the one that's the most easiest to get into, is actually product guides or gift guides, right? So for example, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, Boxing Day, Black Friday, any holiday you can think of, there is probably a guide out there that shows you a top 10, top 20 of the best products. And the thing is that anyone can get inside it. There is actually no vetting process. Sometimes if you look at the guides and you see your competitor on Amazon, but you're like, wait a second, they're not even my top competitor. How did they make it on there? The thing is that the writers don't know any better, right? Does it have great reviews? Does it look great? And can they attach Amazon affiliate to the button, right? If it's there, great, they'll write about it. So this is easy because you can approach them saying, hey, my product is actually better than everyone else's, or XYZ. We're actually the top seller on Amazon. We have more reviews than everyone. I can even curate you an amazing list of all other products that I think as well as and will do well in sales, because I have that data. I can easily pull that up on my end and I'll hand it over to you, right? Just make sure you include mine. What do you say? Right? So it's very easy to get in. It's just write a little blurb about every product. But in terms of them choosing the product, they're none the wiser. So make it easy for them. So those are really the most common types of articles you'll see when it comes to getting featured.
Okay, cool. Very interesting. I can see the product guides or gift guides working very well. Totally. I mean, because the writers have, this incentive to build this list of 10, 20, whatever different type of products. So I can see that being easy, let's say, relatively easy to get into those lists. But I'm wondering about like the other two you mentioned, like a brand showcase or a product showcase. I mean, it's the whole article about us, our brand or our product. So I guess, I mean, this is my guess. I mean, if the brand doesn't have like a very good story or doesn't have really something unique about it, or the product is also not unique, I mean, are we really going to get this like for free from because isn't it just like a pure advertisement for us? So I'm just wondering, like, will these writers be willing to write for us for free in this case?
Yeah. So, couple of things to break down there, right? So, obviously, you need to have a good story. You need to have a good creative angle with your product and your brand, right? I call this an anchor point, right? What is something that is, for example, a slogan, a technology, an operating philosophy that you can tie back to your brand and any one of your products, right? Keep in mind that writers for publications, their job is to write and produce content. They're always looking for the next best thing, right? Now, obviously, they get pitched in all different ways, but if you can really go in, position your brand saying, hey, I got something really amazing and unique here, right? So, for example, in the emails we send to them, some of the subject lines, there's something like the Alibaba of this, or, the world's first this, we'll put trigger points to really make them kind of take a look and examine at least our pitch and the product, right? There's ways to position it, but to kind of answer your question, you really do have to have an amazing product, right? You can't just say, I have a silicone spatula, right? Please write about it. Or I have a garlic press, as everyone refers in the Amazon community, right? You might get onto a product gift guide, but that's kind of about it. I don't think anyone would really write home about a product showcase or a brand case, right? Those ones really do involve you having a beautifully crafted story about your brand, yourself, why you made the product, right? What are you trying to solve? And then obviously show a little bit of clout along with it. Like we're crushing it on Amazon. We have over 1,000 reviews. People are loving it, right? There's ways to trigger it, right? But it really does start with the brand story as a whole.
Awesome. Yeah. I can see that being an art in a way, the pitch to the writer. Obviously, we need to have like a brand that, makes sense. It's newsworthy brand or a product. Cool. Okay. So let's move on with the process. So like, let's try to find more about this art of pitching to writers, right? So we found this article. We figured out the kind of types of articles that we can potentially write with these writers. So what's next? How do we contact these people? How do we actually reach out? Because you said it's kind of difficult to reach out to them. And how do we actually make sure that they reply to us? Because they're obviously bombarded with other pitches.
Yeah. So the first thing is, once you found the article, the content, and the writer, the next step is to find their email address, right? The best way by far is really still cold emailing them. We tried different tactics like sending them a tweet or DMing them on Instagram, right? Those are really hit and miss. And email still works the best because they're always on email and they're always checking it, right? So where do you find email is, first off, you have to find their LinkedIn profile. This is our process, right? And how you find their LinkedIn profile is obviously you can use Google, but sometimes, as you know, with LinkedIn, sometimes it doesn't show you exactly who you want to see, even though the names match, right? So what we usually do here is a Google Boolean search. And what that fancy term really means is that we're just telling Google specifically what to put in the search parameters and to include in the search, right? So the format of what we use, and this is going to be also in the guide as well, is that we use quotation, first name, and also last name inside as well. All cap AND, and in quotation, we'll put their publication, right? So for example, Forbes, AND, all cap again. And then finally, quotation, LinkedIn. So for example, if we want to find John Doe from Forbes on LinkedIn, it will be John Doe and Forbes and LinkedIn. When you enter this in, basically Google says, I need to find a John Doe that is associated with Forbes and also there has to be a LinkedIn. More often than not, you're going to find their LinkedIn profile as the first one that pops up, right? So once you find their LinkedIn profile, there's a lot of tools out there that you can literally extrapolate emails. This is such an amazing hack, right? There's tools like Contact Out, Signal Hire. We personally use Apollo.io. We found that to be the most complete because we can even get some insight into their company. We can even get their cell phone numbers if we wanted to, right? So these tools, it's very simple. It's a Chrome extension, just press it and it will literally spit out their email address for you, right? And then now you have their email address to start sending them a cold email.
Awesome. Okay, cool. We just shared how to hack the system of getting their emails. Very cool. So guys, if for those of you who didn't know, in every episode we share some complementary resources. So you will always find in every episode the download button with the complementary resources. And this time, Philip is sharing with us a guide to reach out to PR and writers. So in that guide, you will find all these formulas and all these Chrome extension and tools that he just mentioned. So don't worry about taking notes now. You will find everything in this guide. So remember to go to thesellerprocess.com and find this episode and click the download button, and you will get the guide, or you just follow the link in the YouTube description. All right. So you will get all those formulas and tools that we're sharing today. Cool. So it's very, very interesting. So then that's where it comes, the art. So we hacked the system in a way. We have now their emails. So what do we write them? Like, what's your kind of secret pitch to them? What do you? How do you break the ice?
Yeah. So in terms of the emails for the subject line, we have 3 different approaches, right? So we start off, you have a general pitch, which is, your unique product. I'd love to get your thoughts on it, right? I was also taught, from, other people who have pitched to PRs, when you say, I love your thoughts, or I'd love your, expertise on it, it's a really easy trigger point to build rapport immediately because you now see them as a person of authority in the field, right? So that's a general pitch. We also have a curiosity pitch, right? It could be something like a story for you, the Alibaba of whatever, or, the Amazon of whatever, right? Just to kind of give it an idea of how big or how amazing your product is in its own respective category, right? I know it kind of sounds cheesy. You have to use another company name to do a comparison, but it works. It's so simple. When someone says, I have the Alibaba of something, I automatically know what Alibaba is. So it's really easy for me to draw a parallel, to what the product might be. And then there's also, for example, bold pitch, right? Which is the world's first, whatever product, right? That really works, but obviously that's very case by case scenario. You may not be the first one to have that. We've also tried really random email subject lines. We even said something like, my dog says, hey. That's literally our email subject line. It is so random and so non-aggressive that they'll just click and they're like, what's this even about? Is this spam? And then they'll see our pitch. So that's something that's really fun. Like, we literally just mess around with the email subject line from time to time. Once it's done, obviously address them. Hey, whoever their name is. What you want to do, you want to start off with a rapport section, right? I just came across your article you wrote about this topic, about this brand. And then just write something, something like, hey, I really appreciate you talking about this. I feel like it's not spoken about enough in the industry. Great to know that you are at the forefront writing about this. What did I just do there? You basically complimented them, you build rapport, but really you're telling them that, hey, this is not a copy and paste pitch. I actually did my research on you and I actually do follow your work, right? Here's here's a sentence or two for me to validate that. Right. So they do appreciate that. And then you basically lead into the next part, right? I'd love to get your thoughts, on this product that I have here that I think your audience will like. Once again, we're using I'd love to get your thoughts, right? Give your pitch. My name is Phil. I'm the founder of this company, elevator pitch. Pitch them what your product is, very short and sweet. And then you start mentioning the proof, right? For example, we got featured here. We're the top seller on Amazon. We have over 5,000 reviews on Amazon. I always say to them, if you don't get featured in the big PRs, start off with the blogs first, right? Start off with the blogs, work your way up, and then mention it in the emails. We got featured here, 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 and there, just to give them the illusion that, you're being talked about everywhere, right? That this is something that they need to look into further. And then you basically go close out, with a desire, right? You let them know, hey, I really think that this product is something your readers would appreciate, since you write about this industry so much, right? This would definitely be an eye catcher to your audience. And then finally, you lead to a CTA. We've tested a lot of CTAs. We noticed that the short and direct one usually works the best. So, for example, it's like, I know this is something you'd love to try. What's your best address to ship it to? ? Right? So, this basically is we're not trying to ask them for approval. Like, would you like to give this a try? We don't like to be that passive. We like to be a little more aggressive in the ask, because they're getting pitched all the time. We're just assuming that, hey, our product's amazing, right? We have an amazing story. We're definitely worth your time. All we're missing is your shipping address. Where do you want it to be sent to? So that's usually how we start off with our pitches.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. I think there's lots of very great gems of copywriting, right? So that's definitely something you guys should look at. Download this guide, and you will find actually the exact script that Philip is using to reach out to writers. All right, so that sounds great. To finish, with this process, like after we exchange some emails, and hopefully the writer will follow up with us, like what can we expect happening after that first contact?
Yeah, so it's all going to be through email exchanges, right? And if they want to write about your product, they will bring their idea, like, hey, I'm thinking of writing your product around this season because, for example, your product tends to be used more in this season. What do you think, right? They'll obviously let you know when the article is going to drop, when they're going to be writing it, right? It could literally be in a week. They'll be like, yeah, I'll write it in a week, and give me a couple of days. I'll send it over to you, and then we'll publish it, right? It really depends on where they want to place your product, what type of article format, and which month, right? So it does vary in links here. I don't really have a clear answer. Some writers would be like, I'll literally post it next week. I'll just write about your product. I'll post it up on the blog, and I'll let you know when it's live. Another one would be like, hey, I'm thinking of including this actually in a Black Friday deal. I think your product would definitely work well. Your product works amazing, and you have a lot of reviews on Amazon, so I think it'll work there. So give me 2 months, and then I will touch base with you again. So that's what you can usually expect. They'll usually give you a timeline of and when they expect the article to drop.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So then, to finish with this was the last piece of the process. Like, how once the article is out, how do we leverage this this opportunity we just created to be featured in this media? How do we leverage that in order to grow our Amazon business?
Yeah, great question. So I want to clear the air here when it comes to PR. I know this is, maybe not a familiar topic to some, right? When you get featured in PR, don't expect your sales to just shoot through the moon and just sell out and now be bestseller rank on Amazon overnight. That's not going to happen. I just want to let you know it's very rare. Maybe on a product gift guide, you might see some really good traction come up. But for the most part, PR will not get you the traction and the sales to it. But what you can actually do with PR is you can repurpose PR and actually show it now onto your Amazon listing, right? So what we love to do with our clients is, whenever we do a listing audit for them, we literally tell them like, hey, where have you been featured, right? Like, oh, we've been featured here, here, here. So we'd be like, great. Take all those publications and add it into one of your listing images, right? Preferably at the top. The way we see it is we see your listing images kind of like a landing page format. And usually what you see on home pages or landing pages of website is usually the second or third section is where you have your PR features, right? So we usually like to say, have your PR features there. If you have a lot, plaster it everywhere. If you only have one or two, have your product on one side, have the PR features on the other side, and maybe just have a one-line quote from each of the writers there. So, just to fill up the space, right? So this way, when someone goes onto your Amazon listing, because we all know that a customer looks at your images first, then they look at bullet points and then A plus content, right? So now when they look at your second or third image and they see the PR feature, now in their mind, they're like, wow, this brand has been featured here, here, and there. They must be pretty big. I never heard of this brand before, but hey, glad I discovered them, right? You're really trying to get rid of that objection of, that uncertain brand they're coming across on Amazon immediately. And another way you can also do it as well down the line is you can actually take that and repurpose it into Amazon video ads as well, right? I know that Amazon video ads is really finicky when they do have the approval process, but believe it or not, sometimes your videos will go through, whereas other videos don't, right? We do it for our clients all the time. We tell them add the PR feature into your Amazon video ads, right in the beginning. It works wonders. So these are the two ways you can do it. Add it as an image to your listing to really bolster your social proof, and the other one is to repurpose it into Amazon video ads.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that because your point. It's really, really. Right. You're right when you're saying like all the Shopify stores have this like featured in section, but none of the Amazon products have that. So I think it's a really good opportunity for us also to embed that kind of feature into Amazon, and showing where we have been published, where our brand has been featured in. So in order to gain some more recognition and show people that we're a kind of a famous brand, not those kind of faceless brands that you mentioned in the beginning. So that's a very, very insightful kind of idea. And yeah, so it's a great strategy and process that you are using for your clients. Let me end this interview with our like signature questions. I'd love to hear from you, like how can we achieve more with less when it comes to successfully run a PR campaign?
Yeah, so when it comes to a PR campaign, when you're doing the outreach, the research and all of that, I'll be honest with you, it's really grunt work. Someone's got to roll up the sleeves and do it, right? But the good thing is that once you get it done once, all you have to do is just log your entire process. SOP, you can literally hire a VA, for $200-300 a month, and it's just their job to research PRs, blogs, guides, anything at all, and then just have them send the first email out. And then you can even have them send response emails out, or you can take over the conversation afterwards, right? This is a really effective way. It is as grassroots as it gets, just, picking, as they say, picking up the phone and dial, right? When it comes to sales, it's just sending out those emails, doing those research. The other route is you can go with a PR agency, but those are incredibly expensive, $5,000 to $10,000 at least starting a month. Now, obviously, they have contacts with the writers in the industry. They will get you those writers immediately, but if we're honest here, $5,000 to $10,000 a month is a lot of money to many, right? It doesn't make sense in the beginning. Maybe as you grow, you can outsource it to a PR agent who can do the heavy lifting for you. But this is a really effective way, just having someone just literally researching about the topics, the writers, and just having sending out cold emails to them.
Yeah, cool. I love that this actually is a long-term strategy, because once you get the work done to be featured in a publication, then that's gonna stay with you forever. You can for years you can brag about being featured in that publication. So I think it makes sense.
And also one more thing too is once you get a writer to write about your product, it's a lot easier to get them to write about your product again in the future. If you have a new product line, just reach out, just like, hey, you're going to get the first scoop. You in? They're probably more or less willing to hear you out.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a valuable thing to have like this network of writers that can write for you at will, or more or less at will. That's going to be an asset, as you said in the beginning, for the brand. So it's going to add also value to the overall brand if you are planning to exit it. Cool, Philip. Thank you so much for your sharing your thoughts. How can people reach out to you if they would like your help with something like what we mentioned today, or anything else about growing their Amazon business? What can you do for them?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me either on Twitter. I'm starting to get more active there. I'll be honest with you, a little slow there. My handle is Philip JH Lee, LI. That's my last name. Twitter, you can shoot me an email, phil@blackcompass.digital. That's my agency's name. If you need any help or you really want to just know more about PR, you can reach out to me there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Phil, for sharing your strategy with us, guys. Remember, the key to success is to emulate the best. So go implement the process that Phil just shared with us. Try to reach out to writers and start building your network of writers, and to be featured in several publications, and use those publications to leverage the recognition and post it on your Amazon products to show off and get more better recognition for your brand in the eyes of your customers. So thank you very much again. Have a productive day, and I'll see you soon in the next episode. Hey entrepreneurs, I hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something from the interview. If you're serious about creating systems for your business, automating processes and building up your team so that you can transfer the tedious daily tasks in order to focus on more high-level strategic tasks and work on your business and not in your business, I've created a guide for Amazon sellers named Capturing Systems and Creating SOPs that you can find at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook, where you will learn how to leverage systems and SOPs in your Amazon business so that you can accomplish more by working less, optimize your time, automate and delegate tasks, and reap the benefits of being a true business owner and not simply an operator in your own business. Go download the ebook at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook and start implementing all the tips and insights that I share with you. And leave us a review or a comment to let us know how the content we are sharing here is making an impact in your business. And have a productive week.